Back to the media being endangered by the president. Yesterday, the publisher of the New York Times put out an excerpt of a speech that he gave where he relays two more stories he has not reported till now. They show that the White House is both willing to risk lives of American journalists doing their jobs overseas, and that's pretty much enough to wish them but harm. Here is Andrew now with the details.
And I just want to point out, Rich, that when reporters get in trouble internationally, the White House, regardless of party or perception, helps out. See, here's the story that comes from the New York Times publisher, A.G. Sulzberger. He wrote, 2 years ago, we got a call from a United States government official warning us of the imminent arrest of a New York Times reporter based in Egypt named Declan Walsh. Though the news was alarming, the call was actually fairly standard. Over the years, we've received countless such warnings from American diplomats, military leaders, and national security officials. But this particular call took a surprising and distressing turn. We learned the official was passing along this warning without the knowledge or permission of the Trump administration. Rather than trying to stop the Egyptian government or assist the reporter, the official believed the Trump administration intended to sit on the information and let the arrest be carried out. The official feared being punished for even alerting us to the danger. He continues, unable to count on our own government to prevent the arrest or help free Declan if he were imprisoned, we turned to his native country, Ireland, for help. Within an hour, Irish diplomats traveled to his house and safely escorted him to the airport before Egyptian forces could detain him. We hate to imagine what would have happened had that brave official not risked their career to alert us to the threat. And then he concludes, 18 months later, another of our reporters arrived in Egypt and was detained and deported in apparent retaliation for exposing information that was embarrassing to the Egyptian government. When we protested the move, a senior official at the White House embassy in Cairo openly voiced the cynical worldview behind the Trump administration's tolerance for such crackdowns. Quote, "What did you expect would happen to him?" he said. His reporting made the government look bad. Rich?
Unbelievable. Let me bring in now Christina Bellantoni. She's the director of the Media Center at the USC Annenberg School of Communications and Journalism. And I apologize in advance, Christina, for the tight window time we have given all the developments today. Andrew tried to put in context, this doesn't happen. The American government, I remember the West Wing episode where they said, don't worry, even if they write bad stuff about the president, we're there for our guys on the front lines. How jarring, even by what we've come to expect, is it that the government basically says you're on your own?
It's incredibly jarring. That is a great way to say it. It's alarming as somebody that is teaching the next generation of journalists after spending 20 years covering politics, covering the White House. I did not have the best relationship with the White Houses that I covered, but they respected that there's a role for the Fourth Estate and that the Fourth Estate is there to do a job. And that mutual respect seems to have completely disintegrated over the last few years. And certainly that is a product of President Trump himself. We know that the message is enemy of the people and really targeting, fake news or going after specific publications or even specific reporters does come from him. But it is also a symbol of kind of what has happened overall in Washington. Partisan discourse has completely disintegrated, right? There's always been politics. It's always been tough. But now there is just no room for the normal standard things that happen in government and with a press responding on and reporting on that government.
And we've been seeing both outward attempts to stifle speech. They've gone after Jeff Bezos over Amazon, but obviously Washington Post, because they don't like the reporting. These try to stop mergers. This administration has, because you thought CNN had a tough coverage of them. Now we're not getting any more press briefings, so there's a transparency issue. But also, for me, it's getting dangerous, not just abroad, but we saw the development that happened with the serviceman who was going to target both Better Work and CNN. Before that, we saw the guy down in Miami with the van who was parroting some of the same language. I don't want to be right here, but I wouldn't be shocked, God forbid, if somebody was attacked and they thought that they were basically acting in the best interest of the president because the enemy of the people weren't exactly espousing the party line.
Sure. And you've seen this happen in numerous other circumstances, right? The president's language does inspire some people to do bad things, but those people might have done those bad things without the president. I'm not going to cast blame on him, but I will say that the way that you refer to somebody that is doing what most journalists, and myself included, view as a service to help people understand their government and feel more connected to their government, that is a job, that is a service, that is an important role in this country, and we're very lucky that we have a free press. And the way that the White House treats the press is really alarming, and certainly that language is alarming, and violence in itself is alarming, no matter who it's directed toward. I will say, when it comes to the issue of the briefings, I sat in so many press briefings in my years covering, particularly the Obama White House, where I might ask 20 questions and my colleagues would ask 20 questions, and you never really got the information you were seeking, but you had the opportunity to present those questions on behalf of your audience to the government. And that is just not happening now. And it's not happening in a lot of federal government bureaus and other areas of the government. Cabinet secretaries are not making themselves available to the press. There's just far less ability to even ask somebody a question, and that's a real problem.
I've only got about 20 seconds, Christine, but I'm curious. Have you had to change your syllabus for the kids because of the last 3 years, and explain, the differences of, free press and where the line starts and stops?
Sure. So I actually have only been a teacher for 1 year. I covered the Trump election and the first year of the administration, and kind of decided a change might be good for me, leaving the LA Times, not covering the Trump administration anymore. And for me, changing that syllabus is something that's been in the works here. Just talking about what is our role, what is our place, and getting students to think about that from a very big picture perspective. And then here in the newsroom, I effectively am the director of a student newsroom, which is also a classroom. They take their role very seriously, and we report on our own campus, which is not without its flaws. And how do you handle that administration? And then how can you apply those lessons if you did go on to cover Congress or the White House one day?
Christina, thank you so much for the time. I appreciate it, in a very crazy news day. All right, we're going to be right back.